Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Growth Stack podcast, where we explore how AI is reshaping industries and accelerating innovation. I'm your host, Mahmoud. I'm the founder and CEO of Axion AI. And today I'm joined with Michael Hudlow.
Yes, sir.
Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
So Michael is the VP of Modern Workflow, and he has been working in the industry for over 2 decades. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, Michael. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I have been, as you mentioned, more than 20 years now, been with large systems via either it's the big four consulting firms, Fortune 100 companies, dealing primarily with Salesforce, CRM, HubSpot, um, operations, advisory services, as well as communications, getting into the bigger tools like Teams and Salesforce Slack. And then for however long it's been going on now, I'm really working on the AI side of things, primarily focused on AI voice agents that can help boost the usability and maximize ROI of CRM systems and intercompany communications.
All right, perfect. It's a very interesting industry that you mentioned, the voice AI
Uh-huh.
and whatnot. Can you tell me, like, how in your current role, like, how did it started? Where
Oh, very organically. I mean, I'd love to say any of us would probably love to say we all predicted this. You know, I think the reason I am where I am right now is largely due to, I think two major components. The first component is um, deep experience in the business world, being able to talk the talk and being able to listen to leaders and hear what their pain points are. And, quite frankly, being able to read the room, when you're listening to something, what do they really want versus what, essentially what they're asking for. And then couple that with the ability to stay technically relevant and understand where things are going right now, and then joining them. I think, the concern for myself, the concern that I have, not for myself, but for others, is that there's a growing, what I would call gap between, let's just say the younger, I'm not trying to be ageist here, but the younger, more modern thinking people that are focused highly on the new tools and tool sets that are out there that are coming out every day. And then there's this other group of individuals that are let's just say more like, I was saying, 20, 30 years in the biz, who have the business experience but are basically split away from the technologies that I was just mentioning. So I think there's a happy place that sits between those two areas. And that's where I pretty much am. And it really just came about because, the experience just happens over, 20 years, 25 years. The focus on AI and more modern tools is just my own personal interest to stay abreast of those things, and then really just kind of floating down the stream with where it's going and where the needs are.
Right, yeah, perfect. Make total sense. That's when the experience comes in, right? You can predict some of the things when you are in the industry and when you're working with people that like you're absolutely
Well,
stay
yeah,
relevant.
no, you're right. And I think, this week, actually tomorrow, I'm flying out to Denver to do a Salesforce event, speaking, and it's largely about my experiences of non-technical. I'm a technical person, but I'm certainly not, I'm still not a developer like I was 30 years ago. Um, but I think my angle, let's say, for that has been largely around the non-technical things that can mess up a project or an effort in a technical world. And there are many things that get missed or people are concerned about or don't believe, or, is it really going to replace this? And as a result, there's a lot of corporate decisions that get made that kind of, you know, you kind of half adopt a new thing and kind of half don't get rid of the old thing. And, that's not a technical decision, that's a corporate decision. But those kind of things can really mess things up. And, particularly with AI right now AI is changing so quickly that I see a challenge for leadership of all companies all over the world. It doesn't, small, medium, large, doesn't matter, of being able to pivot based upon technologies changing, in a matter of weeks. And that is the case. What's happening right now, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because um, if you make a decision based on today's technology, next week you are already irrelevant,
Right.
or something better comes up. Do you continuously change, or do you stay on course and try to
Well,
improve?
I could probably take either side of that argument, and go for it for a few hours. Here's my thought on that, is that you need, if I'm talking to a senior leader, right? C-level leader that's been around, 30 some years. And, they are generally, they have some fears, some concerns about, for example, artificial intelligence, excuse me. And I start out with is that let's just assume your business processes that you're working right now are good. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that's a very big assumption because they're almost never good. But let's just, for this argument, let's just say they're good. Well, if you can just envision, digitizing that workflow, whatever it is, getting a new client, closing a deal, whatever that process is, all we're really talking about is, if that process has 10 steps in it, think of it as 10 individual steps, and then we can start replacing steps with tools that are, let's just say, highly manual or highly repetitive, or require a ton of, double and triple checking of inputs and things like that. Well, if you could just replace one or two or three of them in a process, well, you don't have to buy into the whole, AI world, or, advanced communications world, or you don't have to even understand it. All you have to know is, if there's 10 steps and I take out three and I replace them with one really fast little thing, I'm going to see an increase. And assuming, the costs are the same or hopefully saving
Better.
money,
Yeah.
then it should become a pretty easy decision to make. And I think you just take that decision, and to your point or about adoption, is if you look at it that way, then, it's one thing to say, I'm replacing everything with this one massive, amazingly huge workflow. But if you start taking it and compartmentalizing it, then it's not so scary if one of those steps has to get replaced. Well, it's not a big deal anymore, because one thing, new integrations in this world are much easier than, integrating into legacy systems.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I think in many ways you could see it as an opportunity and say, I'm just going to make my process so, flexible, and my digital philosophy so open-minded that, it's always open season for new tech, and it's, now that everything's web-based, SaaS-based, I mean, it's so much easier than it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like so you deal with people outside the industry as well, right? Non-technical people, you
Absolutely.
based on it. So what are some of the common misconception, misunderstanding about, the industry that we're in, or AI in general, per se?
I think the biggest, there are several, but I think the ones that are pretty repetitive is that, and this is not, here's the misconception, that many leaders, um, they think they already understand AI, since you asked about AI. They think they already understand it because they've gone to ChatGPT and they use it as like an advanced Google engine. And it is. It's pretty damn cool, that stuff. And it's free too. But guess what? When you start doing that at the enterprise level, you are not dealing with the interface that, the leaders, are using on their computer. And it's also not for free because you're paying for the token usage for to put it into your workflow. So there already is this misconception, one, that it's free. It's not. Two, they think they know it. 80% don't. Right? And they're like, well, my team doesn't need an advanced Google. I'm like, it's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so I think it's almost like one of these things, like it's better if a leader had no idea what we were talking about
Right.
than thinking they know it and they really don't. I mean, and I think to go deeper into that topic, I think there is a real harsh reality that comes to business owners when they realize that their AI engines use these things called tokens, or in voice AI, it's easier just to talk about talking minutes, just because people can at a human level relate with it.
Mhm.
um, but it's kind of like, wait a minute, we have to pay for our consumption of this stuff. And technical people understand that, but the CFO who's actually going to be cutting the check, they're very frequently, they don't get it. And then, and especially if they're an older generation group of people, myself included, it's like, every once a month, 30 some years ago, you were hating the day that your parents got an envelope in the mail that says, phone bill on it. And, it was this thick because everyone had been talking on the phone and they were charged per minute, right? And it's kind of harkening back to that feeling of, I'm not paying by the minute for anything. I'm like, okay, well then you're gonna pay for tokens, and um, it's just another word. But the AI gods are going to make you pay if you want to
Mhm.
use this thing. And the good news is it's cheaper than manual labor
Right.
to do a lot of things. And so that's the good side to it. But there definitely is a philosophy, and I'm going to say 100% of the time, my clients, we have this conversation. It's like, wait a minute, there's a variable cost. We don't want that. So I will say what many uh, AI advisory firms have done is start, just having a bundle. Say $1,000 a month, and the firm, the AI agency, kind of just pays for the tokens and just makes sure that whatever that monthly collection is less than whatever your client is paying you, but it's a fixed number, even if it is more expensive than it would be by the minute or by the token. People are still more comfortable with a solid number.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because every time I try to reach out to a potential customer and I explain the scenario, it's like even though I don't want to use the word replacing employees, but replacing workflows, let's say, eventually that's going to happen anyways. But
Sure, it is.
but we're replacing workflows, we're making it faster, better, and so on and so. But end of the month, as you mentioned, the bill may vary. So the bigger bill, that means you are actually using the product more. And that also means that if we are replacing or
All right.
two workflows, that's two human beings worth of paychecks that you're replacing with in a fraction of it. But when they see the bill coming in all together, that's kind of a shock, like, oh, I'm spending so
Yep,
much on this.
you're 100% right.
Right. Yeah. So, okay.
And that's
That's.
really, seriously speaking, that's really difficult. And I have even told, I'm fully transparent with clients where I'll say, look, I think, I'm just going to pull a number out of the air. I think you're going to consume $500 a month in credits. That's what I think. But would you rather I just charge you a flat fee of 750 because I don't know, and
Mhm.
then once a quarter, I think are going to be, I think it's going to be too much and I can't carry it over because it's, I'm not like a phone company here, but they almost every time would rather pay the more, make it a flat fee, and then, they don't have to think about it. And,
Right.
and,
It's easier for them to budget
much
and
easier, much
right.
easier. And then all as I usually say is, if once, obviously, if you go screaming over the consumption, then we'll have to talk. And if we're, a little either way, every 3 months we'll just address it and see if it should be more or less or whatever. So, that's really, that's the, I don't know if that's it's a misconception. It's not only the one I hear the most, it's also the one that causes the most conversation. It's not even usually one conversation with a client, it's multiple. Because at first it's kind of like, I knew there was a catch, you know? And there is one thing that you just tipped, kind of hinted at there that is another thing, is that it's not a misconception, but it is a driving force that I frequently hear people say, have this, let's just call it ethical issue. Is it right for me to be replacing a person with a machine, And my answer to that is generally, you know, if you have a workforce of, let's just say, 10 people right now, and let's just say a few of those people aren't star performers and a few are. Well, you're not happy with, let's just say, whatever it is, X% of your staff. Well, suppose we, you know, let X% of your staff, they either go find them another job or let them go. But your people who remain, the star people that are good for themselves and for you, suppose we can boost their profitability, that we can boost their world. They can, make it easier. Or just putting an AI agent in the process to do something that maybe even your poor performers, maybe they're not performing well because they've got to do a lot of different, odd jobs. And if we take a few of those odd jobs away, maybe your poorer performers will rise to the occasion on the important stuff. Um, but you hit the nail on the head. The writing's on the wall. I mean, this is going to happen, I mean, whether you like it or not.
Even if I don't replace somebody else will, but
Oh, of course they will. Right, right.
yeah, so can you I guess I have like twofold question. So
Shoot.
can you we started this conversation, but can you tell me more about like some of the growth challenges or some of the marketing challenges that you guys are facing?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to even talk specifically about the companies I'm with, just because I talk to so many people. I can speak more broadly about it. Um, the challenges, for the most part, are, um, if if you're looking at the SMB market, the upside is that small businesses that have a, forward-thinking leader realize that they they could spend more time and energy on making their product better, making their services better, or whatever, and not have to worry about or be concerned as much about hiring, like, let's just say, a customer support or a sales workforce. They could hire more on what they do as opposed to trying to tell people about what they do or try to answer questions about what they do. That kind of stuff can be very successfully, automated. So you have the small, medium business leaders that are really forward thinking, and they're just jumping at the opportunities. And it's a daily occurrence now that new clients are coming on board, because they've realized that if they don't become more efficient, than if the competition becomes more efficient, then they're going to say goodbye to their whole company. I mean, I know that's negative way of thinking, but if somebody else can do it better, faster, cheaper, then
Sure.
That's the way the world works.
It's kind of like hiring a better employee, pretty much.
Well, it is. I mean, and I have said to people, it's like, it's pretty easy on this point. Is like right now, I don't need to know a name, but I'm sure you have some employees that, don't have great attitudes. It's just human nature, right? I mean, so, they call in sick, they don't remember, they're not up to date with all of your products or your service offerings or whatever. Um, you know, so if you didn't have those people, would you be better off? Or if you had a better person instead of that person, would you be better off? And, so on the flip side, so you have that forward-thinking leader, then you also have people that have small businesses and they're content with, what they think they've been doing is working well, whether it's word of mouth or whatever, and that works well in a local environment. Um, but there's still many people who just quite, because they think they know what AI is or, these things is, they don't, it's not for me. It's, sometimes you reach out to those individuals just because they're at some kind of chamber of commerce meeting or a convention or something like that. Um, you have to have a more fundamental question about, if they're opposing to it, why? Are they real reasons? Because, and then I guess the third component of why people are hesitant because they just assume, ironically, it's completely opposite to what I said before, but they assume it's going to be super expensive.
Hmm.
And therefore, it's new, it's expensive, I'm small, therefore I don't need it. And people don't necessarily see the range of how easy you can get into this world.
Understand. Yep, yep. So I'll give you more like another case study that I have had this
Sure.
conversation with a couple of clients. I want your thought in it that how do we like break the ice, or how can I get into this kind of situation? Get out of this kind of situation. So, a couple of clients that we have discussed, I went in and pitched, and they were like, "Oh, you're a month late. I just signed up with so and so who does similar thing." So, what is your experience and what is your suggestion? Like, should we at that point just step out, or is there a better way to approach?
Well, if you're too late, you're too late. I
Hmm.
mean, are you saying you think that maybe being too late was not the true reason? Is that what you mean?
No, no, too late because they probably have signed up in both cases, they actually signed up with a similar competitor
Right.
and they started implementing and started working with them and so on and
Well,
so
you're like in that case, you're too late. I don't know how you would change that other than, I guess I could say without knowing too much more is reach more people more quickly. I mean,
on.
and if you weren't an AI person, the first thing I would say is you need an AI agent making
Mhm.
making communications for yourself,
Of course.
whether it's texting or phone calls or emails or whatever, you know, uh, you know, I'm not going to say spamming people, but if you knew of an industry like that let's just say you've done a couple jobs for, whatever, let's just say landscaping companies.
Sure.
Well, you know, then you start reaching out to more and more and more of those individuals. Um, and it's trial and error. I mean, what message can resonate with one person's, it's going to be totally different than someone else.
Yep.
For myself, I would say I'm constantly um, speaking on podcasts, for example. I think this is like my second one in a week. Um, doing posts on LinkedIn, uh, answering questions, just general networking with professionals. Um, I think the technologies that we're talking about, whether it's CRMs or, messaging systems like Teams and Slack, or if it's AI, um, they are, industry and geography agnostic. I mean, they don't care what you're doing. So, I think while people don't like hearing that, like customers don't want to hear, hey, it's We can do it. We've done it for everybody. We can do it for anybody. That kind of thing. They want to, know that you've done it before in their world. But once you have one or two in a particular slice, then go after it. And that could be, in my opinion, it could be an industry slice. It could be a geographic slice,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Cool, cool. So what are your goals or what are your priorities for, I don't know, let's say next 12 months? Where do you see this going?
Well, I think for myself and, the business that I am, affiliated with, specific regards to that, I would like to, I know there is a huge need for people to cross communicate at larger companies that, the companies are bifurcated between using Teams and Slack, right? And uh, Teammate has made a agent, it's an app, um, very affordable. It's the only one out there. So, if anyone has the issue of having a dual communication world, which is millions of companies, quite frankly, I want to talk to those people and say there is actually an answer out there and it can be fixed quickly. So that's a huge part of what I'll be focusing on for the next, whatever, let's say 12 months ish or more. As far as AI goes, I see AI as this gateway into getting people, particularly in the SMB market, to getting them with proper CRM systems, primarily HubSpot, followed closely by Salesforce. Salesforce for the larger firms, HubSpot for like SMB world. But if you can have, there's so many leaders that I speak with that are still using, Google Sheets or Excel spreadsheets to do, or, they're using, some mail service to help them reach out larger audiences of people, like Constant Contact or, whatever. Um, they, they're afraid to get into like what I would call true CRM work. But I tell people, or I really recommend to people that if you're going to be using AI and it's able to gather sentiments and conversations and all this random information that is highly valuable, and you don't have a proper place to put that recording or to put that survey or a summary, excuse me, then you will be missing out on all the powers that AI can perform for you. So, um, you know, I think the more AI is used, then the more the need for those staff people that used to be, let's just say, making outbound phone calls or answering phone calls or whatever the case may be, those people will be able to spend more quality time on the summation of all these tickets coming in and out, and what does this truly mean, and what can we change? Is this, is this, can AI help to show us where we may have a future business problem based upon all these conversations? I mean, if you really want to get your money out of it, you've got to put this information somewhere that is manageable. And a spreadsheet, while it can do it, is not something that's going to summarize anything for you at a quality level.
Absolutely, yeah. We're almost reaching time.
Sure.
Do you have any advice for like, new someone new like me in the industry, starting a new business? We're kind of doing very similar things, but mine is more of smaller businesses and custom solutions and
Yeah, it's fine.
that
Yeah,
sort of,
there's room for everybody, man. I
right?
mean, the way I look at all of this, and this is true for anyone out there, we're all in this together, and you can't do everything for everybody. So it's all, I see it very much like this, especially with AI. It's very, to me, it reminds me a lot of the like the uh, when Linux first hit and the whole open source movement really started hitting. around 2000. And it was like, this is really cool because the community's helping itself and everyone's helping each other. And that's very much what I see the AI world is. So what I would recommend to anybody who wants to get into this world, and I can share a link with you, but there are AI schools out there, um, and there's lots of them. And I know which one I like in particular. But these are really strong communities to help people learn. Like I use a tool called N8N to help me. And, these are just communities of people that are just living, breathing these tools. So, if someone's fixed the problem before, like if you said you needed, do custom apps. If you needed something custom done that, let's just say scrapes information from here, writes an email over there, I guarantee you these better facilities, schools have done it before. So all that code is already done. So you can spend your time on tweaking it, but not figuring it out from day one. And like I said, I'll show you what where I get my stuff from. But that's what I would recommend. I mean, I would say, it's I can see it sometimes being frustrating for people because um, when you look at AI and you think, oh my gosh, I'm late to the game, I'm never going to catch up. You know what I mean? And the reality is, it's kind of like when you're in the AI space, yeah, there's lots of people that have tons more experience, but guess what? They've been doing it for like 3 months instead of you just starting today. I mean, it's so. I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but I mean, even the most experienced people are not so much experienced that you, in a month or two, won't be able to catch up. And I just sent you a link, which is a link to the school I go to. It's an affiliate link, so if you do click on
Yeah.
it, I'd appreciate it. But I mean, it's posted in the show notes. But basically, there is with the school, SKOOL.com platform. There's lots of people teaching on lots of different topics, and there are several AI schools, and you find one that meets your need. But I have found the one I'm in right now really meets my needs for the time being. But I would recommend that for anybody. And then, as far as, what we started out speaking about is you have to get all the experience you can. You have to be able to, when you're first starting out, you can even tell people or customers, hey, this stuff is so new, I'm still figuring it out because like literally it changes every morning. So, just as long as as long as you're transparent with them, I found that there's lots of people out there willing to give it a shot too.
No, absolutely. This is very valuable advice. So, we're almost at time.
Yep.
Is there any place where people can get in touch with you if anybody has any question?
Sure. The easiest way to just, well, one on LinkedIn. I,
Hmm.
I think I'm probably the only Michael Hudlow out there.
Yeah.
I have also my email is simple, and I can put it there also in the notes,
Sure.
but it's
Yeah.
just you put in michael.hudlow at teammatetechnology.com. You'll get me there. But if you don't want to reach out to me via email, if LinkedIn's fine, either way is fine. And I like networking with people. I like, just learning from different people's experiences. So you're not going to get a hard sell for me on anything. I mean, if you want it, then myself and my colleagues can absolutely produce it or fix it or whatever, whether it's a two-person company or a 10,000 person company. We've all done it before. But I do just like to, help people out with this stuff. So, my LinkedIn and email door is always open.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for
Mhm.
your time. I really appreciate it.
All right,
And
very welcome.
you have a great rest of the day.